This is Hannibal here with a daily wrestling news update. I did do a great interview with author of The Six Pack, which is a wrestling book that covers a lot of inside information leading up to the time when the Iron Sheik beat Bob Backlund for the title in 1983. It's well worth checking out. Did that earlier today, but let me get into the news. Apparently, the WWE's longest employee, she's been with the company since 1986, Sue Aitchison. Um, she won the 2019 WWE Hall of Fame Warrior Award, as she was the one responsible for hooking WWE up with Make-A-Wish Foundation, which obviously they had a long tenure with. She was part of the talent relations team, as far as I'm aware. And the TKO is restructuring the company a lot. They're giving people that already worked there multiple jobs, cutting people that were doing just one job, collaborating. They want to make as big as profit as possible. The WWE family does not exist now. Probably less than ever. Not that it ever did, but 38 years as an employee, I'm sure she did fairly well for herself. She sounds like a fairly nice person from what I've read. So good for her. I guess Stephanie McMahon and the Ultimate Warrior's wife, Dana Warrior, were involved with that induction. Apparently, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? The Big E. Sorry, Big E. How could I forget Big E? I met him once in Iowa at the Dan Gable Luthez Hall of Fame. He is not going to be coming back anytime soon. He has that neck injury from taking a botched German on the outside, which, yeah, these dangerous moves, particularly involving the neck, are not worth the risk. Luckily for him, it happened in a WWE event and not an independent event that didn't have insurance. And he's probably going to be taken care of for life, because they do take care of wrestlers that have in-ring injuries. But I'm sorry to hear that he's not medically cleared and may never be medically cleared. WrestleMania 40 ranks as Peacock's most streamed entertainment event ever. The Rock did wonders there. Once again, Ronda Rousey did another interview with Steve O, which I probably will watch because I do enjoy his interviews. He's the Jackass guy, and she's just talking about how much time in between Logan Paul's match is he has, and how much goes into rehearsing his matches. And she compares it to her first WWE match, how well it was rehearsed, and how much it got over. And then they never put that much time into her again. I can understand her frustration. I've seen a bunch of her interviews, and she's dealt with a couple of miscarriages. Um, I have no issues at all with her. I actually think she's just misunderstood, honestly. She did have the second biggest contract in WWE for a while, but she has a point. I don't know what her attitude was like backstage or anything, but they are putting a huge amount of effort into Logan Paul. Logan Paul is great though, as far as he has his own podcast, which is really popular with young people, and WWE has needed a boost in young people, and he's getting wrestlers on his podcast. I don't think, and I've used to watch his podcast before he was with WWE. I don't recall him ever having a WWE wrestler on his podcast prior to WWE being involved. Now, I mean, he has his energy drink right in the center of the ring as a logo, and there's wrestlers on his podcast all the time, and he's putting over WWE on his podcast all the time. So he's part of this whole group, along with The Rock, making wrestling cool again. I'm glad Ronda Rousey made a lot of money. I guess her husband had 2 kids and she has 1 kid. She wants to have more. They also are on a farm. They got lots of animals, but yeah. From all the interviews I've seen with her, I don't have any problems with her. In other news, Tony Khan, who was at the Windy City Riot event last night, New Japan in Chicago, at the Wintrust Arena, congratulated Jon Moxley for winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in the same arena where he won his first ever AEW championship. Uh, I like Jon Moxley too. I congratulate him on that. And here's a little bit of trivia about the IWGP Championship that you may not know. I defeated AJ Styles, pinned him 2 times in one night in August of 2014 when he was IWGP champion, and New Japan was on a hot streak at that point. Somebody says seeing WWE got Julia. AEW should get Tam Nakano. Not familiar with Tam Nakano, but I've heard a lot about this Julia girl. And yeah, they probably, for whatever reason, she chose WWE. She probably wants to become as famous as possible. Hello from Texas. Ronda is set for life. Definitely set for life. Perry had Chicago eating out the palm of his hands. He's a gold mine. I mean, I don't understand why AEW has waited so long to capitalize on this situation with Perry, but obviously there's rejuvenated heat in it after the camera footage. One thing I would do, and I don't know, I have been around a lot of bookers and I have been in the wrestling industry a long time. One thing I would do, I know AEW likes to do their surprises, but when Jack Perry returns to AEW, if they want to try and get a good rating and keep the ratings high, don't make it a surprise. Say he's coming back and has something to say. Put him on the mic like people do to CM Punk. That's just and I'm saying that very humbly. If you want to get a rating, build up to it. Don't do it as a surprise. Sometimes you got to tell the fans. I don't think they should wait for Forbidden Door. Isn't that in June? I wouldn't wait for Forbidden Door. Jack Perry was in the news all week this week because everyone was talking about that security footage. I would get in, and he just had that good performance in New Japan. Um, I would bring him back soon. He did lose that New Japan match, which makes me think that that might be the end of his little New Japan run. That was while he's still under AEW contract, but it was an approved New Japan run to my knowledge. So who knows? But we need more stars in wrestling. And I was also a Beverly Hills 90210 fan. I have to admit that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. So maybe I'm biased because I liked the character Dylan, who was his father.